Welcome back, everybody, to the GameChat Picks podcast. It is Jack Morgan joined by Stuart McDonald. Stuart, how we doing?
Doing great. Just got back to Washington, hometown, so feeling good.
Yes, sir. You're back home. Yeah, we didn't do a picks pod last week, but Stuart was on the main Game Chat feed, so you can go check us out over there. We are gonna just recap some games that went on last weekend, and we'll give a quick Thanksgiving Day parlay, and then we'll be on our way. I think we'll be back Thursday or Friday. We'll give out a weekly preview pod, so we'll still give out some content over Thanksgiving. But Stuart, kind of a rough week, at least for myself with the picks. I didn't do too well. I think I was 2-4 in our picks. You were 3-3. Yeah, I mean, not a great week for the boys, but that's okay.
It's okay. That's why there's more weeks of football. It can
Yeah,
always get better. Um, I feel like it was a rough week around the board, like
yeah,
both NFL and college football results.
yeah. Let's start with college. Like you said, the top teams barely survive. I mean, you had Georgia win a 16-6 game against Kentucky. First of all, I don't know. Did you get a chance to watch that game?
That was one of the few games I actually watched, and wow, Kentucky's defense looked good.
Dude, Kentucky's defense looked good, but my goodness, Will Levis is bad.
Yeah,
And have you seen some mock drafts have him like top three?
there's the quarterback mock drafts right now make no sense. There was I saw somebody that had Bryce Young at like 10,
Ugh,
and like
so bad.
I agree. UW's quarterback's good. They had him at like 5. They had
Right.
Jordan Levis at like 3. I'm like, man,
Yeah,
I've never seen a quarterback in my life in college with more composure than Bryce Young, like ever. It's insane.
I agree. Um, Ohio State survives Maryland. Kind of, I guess, a little bit of a scare there. They were, yeah, they were down at halftime in that one, but their offense just ends up being too much. Michigan barely survives at Illinois. It was a game. The When did they kick the field goal? Was the game expiring, or was it with like 10 seconds left, maybe, or 30 seconds left, maybe? The
I'm looking
TCU
that
game
up.
was also similar. Like both games end on a field goal, and
There was
TCU
a field
and
goal to
Michigan's
win like with 9 seconds left.
9 seconds left. Okay. And then TCU's was similar too. So both teams barely survive. So all the top four remains intact. All that top four is undefeated, right? Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU are all undefeated.
And Michigan and Ohio State play this week.
Michigan, Ohio State play this week. We'll pick that game on the show later in the week, because I'm really excited for that game. That is the one of the few must watch games this, like, every season for college football. It seems like for the past 5 or so, that is a must watch game.
And then I mean Georgia did struggle a little bit, but like in my mind, I just there it's Georgia and then there's everybody else.
Yeah, for sure. Right now, for sure. Until, I mean, Ohio State or Michigan both struggled this week too. So one of them's got to prove that they can be at the caliber that Georgia's at.
Yeah.
But this you're right. This week, and they've had some other weeks, Georgia, or in the season, where they haven't looked perfect. So like they had that Missouri game where they struggled. Um, like we said, TCU barely survives Baylor. I knew that was going to be a tough game for TCU. In Baylor, that's a rivalry game.
And they just
You're
beat up Texas to go
Yeah,
back on the road. Like,
no, you're fine with that if you're you won. That is, you don't
yeah,
care how it happened. You won that game. Um, South Carolina, Spencer Rattler, 6 touchdowns, just destroys Tennessee. Weirdest game of the college football season, I think, by far.
yeah. I was seeing tweets that people are like Spencer Rattler just should not come out on the field the second half. Like he
Oh,
should
no shot.
immediately go to the NFL draft. That's be the last thing they see of him.
That's so true. I think Amina Kimes was like, I will not let myself talk I will not let myself talk myself into Spencer Rattler being a top draft prospect. And it's like, it's
Yeah,
so
like
true, because we all, bro, before last season when he was starting at Oklahoma, he was going to be
he
a
made.
top pick. I still think he might be. Maybe not this season, but he's got a
I
chance.
agree. I agree. Just because I feel like a bunch with quarterbacks happen like in the film room when they have like the coaches they watch and
Yeah,
like they're just throwing to receivers. Like I feel like that can move the needle so much in one way or another. So
totally. USC beats UCLA in a shootout 48-45. And then the other Pac-12, Oregon beats Utah. Um, Bo Nix was limping around that game, but they found a way to win.
is the
Um,
Pac-12 championship locked in yet?
no, so Oregon I think has the easiest path. USC is for sure.
Okay,
Um, I think if Washington wins and Oregon loses, Washington might get in,
okay.
something like that. Maybe UCLA has to lose too. I don't know. It's most likely going to be Oregon USC. I think there's a slim chance it's Washington USC. So, um, that was kind of all the other college football. I mean, Oklahoma for some reason beats Oklahoma State in Bedlam. That was kind of a weird one. Boise State wins a crazy game against Wyoming. Just for the Boise State people listening to this, I don't know. Did you see that game at all?
I did not.
So I didn't watch it, but because I was doing something, but I got to see the end, and we were winning by, man, I can't remember. We were up by one score, and I think it was a fumble or an interception with like a minute left, and all we had to do was like run the clock out. So we get the turnover, and we're like, oh, we pretty much won the game. We go down and fumble, and they almost return it for a touchdown. And then the very next play, they have the ball at like the 20, there are our 20-yard line, and they need a touchdown to win, and they throw a pick on the first play.
Really?
And so it's like 3 plays, 3 turnovers, pretty much. And we won the game. So yeah, big win for Boise State. Any other college?
Um, n- Not really. The only the team I watch the most sucks, so it really doesn't matter.
It's okay, Stuart. They have a big game this week. Notre Dame USC. It's gonna be a
At
good one.
USC,
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one.
already
Have to call
smacked up Clemson. Get another ranked win.
All right, let's go to the NFL. We're gonna go through 5 games. I think that's kind of gonna be the format that we do going forward. I like 5. I think that's kind of a sweet spot.
Yep.
Vikings Cowboys, most surprising result of the day for me. Vikings coming off a huge win against the Bills. I mean, we were talking a game of the year last week. We talked about it on the pod for like 20 minutes last
Yeah.
week about how important that game was for the Vikings. Are the Vikings for real? Cowboys coming in off a bad loss to the Packers, and the Cowboys 40-3 blow out the Vikings. Is this a bigger win for the Vikings, or the bigger win for the Cowboys, or a bigger loss for the Vikings?
Wow. Um, I would say it's a bigger loss for the Vikings.
Mm,
Just because it was such a it was such a beatdown where I think a bunch of people were still unsure. Like they're like the Vikings are good, but like how good are the Vikings?
right.
And then the Cowboys went into that. And it's like in the grand scheme of things, if the Cowboys defense can do that to you, the 49ers defense will do that to you, which then means you have zero chance of making a
Yeah.
championship. So where I think a bunch of the Vikings fans and other people that were interested in the Vikings thought maybe they could push for a NFC championship, but there's absolutely zero shot.
Yeah. I give a lot of credit to Trayvon Diggs, man, played a fantastic game against Justin Jefferson for the Vikings. And Diggs got a lot of hate. Myself included. I know other guys like Reed on our pod. Um, and deservedly so, because last year he was really bad in coverage, but made a lot of interceptions. And but this year he played lockdown. I mean, Justin Jefferson, he followed Jefferson around. Jefferson had 3 catches for 33 yards. That's incredible. So their defense, dude, is legit. The Cowboys defense. They were getting pressure with everyone. It's not just Micah Parsons on that D line. Dak was incredible.
Yeah.
22-25.
I mean, they're
Uh,
running backs. It's insane.
I know, man.
It's
Tony
been the same
Pollard
for
is
4 or 5 years, and this guy's playing like one of the top 4 or 5 running backs in the league with a
yeah.
now healthy who takes only 25% of the carries, Zeke, who's looking like he did a couple of years ago.
Dude, they are a perfect complement for each other. No one really likes Zeke right now because of how good Pollard's been, but Pollard can't. They tried on a possession early in the game to give him the ball like 3 times at the goal, or I think they gave it to Pollard twice at the goal line. Pollard got stuffed, and then they bring Zeke in, and Zeke gets it.
Yeah.
And Zeke's just got like he does all the little things, the non-exciting things really well. He pass protects really well. He gets those short yardage little like plays really well. And Pollard's definitely the more exciting. But man, when those two are both healthy and rolling, they complement each other so well.
I
This is
know.
a scary team, the Cowboys, man. This is a scary team.
I mean, Mika Parsons, man. Like that's just someone I never. There's two people in the NFL I never want to see lined up against me, and it's Mika Parsons, and then it's Trent Williams getting pulled.
For real. Yeah, those two are. I mean, Micah Parsons just he's a beast. Um, yeah, that's all I had. It's a tough game for the Vikings. Then you flush it. They play the Patriots on Thursday night. Or Thursday night. On Thanksgiving. So a tough one
Is it
for the
in?
Vikings. It's in Minnesota.
Okay.
All right, next game. Chiefs Chargers Sunday Night Football. This is a great game. These two always play
Great.
great games. Man, the Chargers, they get Mike Williams and Keenan Allen back for this game. They lose Mike Williams in the middle of the game. Josh Palmer has a great game for the Chargers. Keenan Allen was pretty good as well in his debut back. I mean, I don't know. My takeaway, I guess, from this game is Mahomes is just a beast.
Yeah.
Like the Chiefs are just really good. Chargers fall to 5-5. It's the same story for them. I feel like every year with they're really talented. They have injury problems and they're just underachieve.
I saw some statistic about how terrible they are in the second half. It was like 11-29 with like leads going into the second half.
Mm. I mean, they
Um,
scored 7 points in the second half.
but for them, like I don't know. If I'm them, I'm feeling decently confident just because for the last like 5 weeks you've played games without any of your receivers and you actually look good.
Yeah, true.
So, for them, I'm not too worried. It's just like I'm more worried if we can't get healthy.
Right, I agree.
If we can get healthy and play 1 or 2 games healthy, I'd be pretty confident as a Chargers fan.
And they have a pretty easy. They play the Cardinals and then the Raiders. The next 2 games. Those if you win those 2 games, you're back to 7-5. You're feeling good. Then they go to they play the Dolphins after that, so that'll be a good test. But you got to win those next 2 games. You got to beat these easy teams that you play, and get your record back up there because there's that battle for that last playoff spot in the AFC is going to be very tight. Like the Bengals, the Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, and Jets. The entire AFC East is in that mix, and then they and the Bengals are right there too. So that race is going to be tough, and they need to win these games against easier teams. But yeah, I don't think you're like beating yourself up over it if you're the Chargers.
I heard I heard something that was so messed up. Like, imagine this is not your worst nightmare. Tom Brady makes the playoffs, gets a bye or gets a home seed at like what 9-8. Plays
8-9, yeah.
plays Daniel Jones, and then like the Seahawks come to him, and then they go to like I don't know, like the Eagles. It's like man, like just the way that it could go to like see Tom
I
Brady in
know,
the NFC Championship game. It's like wow, they suck. But like
unreal,
in
dude.
all honesty, it's not that crazy.
It isn't. It really isn't. All right, possibly the story of the week this week is going to be Zach Wilson and what he said after that game. 10-3 Patriots win on essentially a walk-off punt return. No offensive touchdowns in this game. I saw something that's like not since like 1960 or 1940 maybe that the defense and special teams has outscored an offense.
Both.
Both offenses combined. Yeah, unbelievable. So Zach Wilson goes 9 of 22 for 77 yards. They had 9 completions, 10 punts. The Jets did. Just an ugly, ugly game. And then if you missed it, I'm assuming you've heard this by now, but if you missed it, the story of the day, I guess, on Sunday that's going to be the talking point of this week was Zach Wilson not taking accountability for their loss. Um, just a bad, bad look for a guy who's struggling as an NFL quarterback.
It just very, very much gives like punk kid vibes.
Totally.
Because
Totally.
I mean, you can look and like 2 weeks ago, arguably the best quarterback in the league has a mediocre game. Says you can't win games if you suck. Like that is the greatest blueprint you could ever have. And not only
Yep.
that, your defense is playing out of their minds. Like
Ridiculous.
your defense could not be playing better for you. So like he doesn't have to say, "Yeah, I'm 100% accountable," but he has to say something where it's like now he puts everyone in a very tough situation because you're gonna have people that are working their butts off on defense saying this is an absolute joke and
Yeah.
start losing the team, and then because he said that, now the coach has no, the coach has to say, one, you didn't score a touchdown. So now the coach has to say, we're trying out other quarterbacks, which is just like, oh man, I feel so bad for the Jets. Because in my
Same.
mind, with a decent quarterback, you could probably say, you could argue that like they probably have 7 years, 8 years where they could be just an incredible football team.
Yeah. And if you want to see something sad, go look back and look at the draft that he was taken. And just right behind him, it's just Pro Bowler after Pro Bowler already. I mean, it's like in that draft in the top 10, like all the guys. I mean, Chase, Waddle, Devonta Smith, Rashawn Slater, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, Micah Parsons, like ballers that were taken in that draft, and the Jets just found a way to mess it up.
And in all honesty, they could have easily, they could have got Jimmy G in a second.
Seriously.
Jimmy G was on the trading block. Like if Seattle and 49ers weren't in the same division, he'd be on Seattle.
Yeah. I think he might, maybe it might be too late, but I think he's definitely in play for them next year for sure.
Yeah.
San Francisco 49ers take the lead in the NFC West. They looked unbelievable last night. That is a Super Bowl winning team, the way that they played last night. I mean, like, didn't run the ball for huge numbers, but Elijah Mitchell 6.6 yards a carry. McCaffrey 5.6 yards per carry. Debo had the long touchdown run. And then on offense, George Kittle looked back to normal where he's just balling out. McCaffrey out of the backfield, it seemed like they could just dump it off to him whenever he wanted to.
I know.
Brandon Ayuk has 2 touchdowns. You're just like, all right, this is the team that we were worried
That's a
about.
good O line.
Yep. It's like, okay, this is why everyone that's been saying the Niners are Super Bowl contenders, and then there's always the backlash. It was like, oh, but their record's bad. They're 500 or whatever. This is why. This team, that if they keep that up, they are the best team in football. With the
100%.
defense too.
Yeah. I mean, my argument is like there's so few offensive weapons where you could legitimately put them anywhere on the field
Yeah.
and they can be successful. And like you could argue to me that like San Francisco has 3 of them.
Yeah.
Like,
yep. And it was like, it wasn't even like Jimmy needed. I think I heard someone say like, oh, Jimmy needed to play well for them to win it. Like if he plays well, and I'm like, I don't even know if he needs to play well. He just needs to get the ball to his players.
The thing that's so messed up is like San Francisco could literally destroy teams and not throw the ball a single time past like 5 yards downfield.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have, like, if they just ran a slant every single play,
yeah,
sooner or later Christian McCaffrey's going to go for a touchdown. Sooner or later Debo Samuel's going to break a tackle, go for a touchdown. It's just like, what do you do?
Yeah, I know. And props to Jimmy though, because I think his job's a lot harder than people realize. Like he does have to be accurate. He does have to take the underneath stuff and be patient and let his players do the work. But man, it looks really good when it's rolling. They are a very good team. They just need to stay healthy too.
Yeah.
I had the Eagles beating the Colts. It wasn't a super exciting game. This would have been way more interesting, I guess, if the Colts won. But Eagles stay alive. They win the game. I think that's all. all you really care about if you're an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to Thanksgiving. This is what we'll do on normal Tuesday pods. We'll do a thanks or a Thursday night like parlay or something for Thursday night. But this week is nice because we get 3 games on Thursday. So, the first game is the Bills at the Lions. Bills are 9.5 point favorites. They go back to Detroit to play this game. Over under 54.5. Do you have anything
I'm
anything jump out to you on that one?
you know, I typically would be a little more enticed taking that minus 9.5. I don't think I'm going to just because I personally think the New York Giants have a very solid.
This is
Um,
Just Bills Lions. Bills
yeah,
Lions.
yeah, yeah, I'm
Oh,
just saying
okay.
from last week, like
Gotcha. Yeah.
the Giants have a really solid
Oh, gotcha.
D
Okay.
line, and they
Yeah.
just dismantled them. So
Yeah.
I think um, I don't know. I do. If I were to touch this game, I'd take the over. But for right now, I'm not gonna.
Well, I think we got to do something. We got to do this is just for the parlay. I think we should pick one from each.
Okay, I'm
I
gonna
think that
take.
should be our game chat picks special.
Okay, I'm gonna take the Bills minus 9.5.
All right. Bills minus 9.5 on the board for the first one. Second game, the afternoon, Giants at Cowboys. Giants, same line. Giants 9.5 point underdogs coming off a bad loss to the Lions last week. But 9.5 point underdogs. Over under is 44.5. What do you like here?
Um, I honestly, not having very much faith in Daniel Jones, I would probably take the Cowboys like minus 15 in this game after seeing what they just did. I just don't really, I just can't really see where the Giants are getting their points from.
All right, Cowboys minus 9.5 on the board as well. I would flirt with the over a little bit here too. I mean, Cowboys put up 40 points on their own last week. I know the Vikings only did 3, but I don't know. I don't think 44.5 is crazy. And then the Thursday night game, we have Patriots at Vikings. 2.5 point favorites are the Vikings. This is kind of a weird line. Both of these teams have been very weird the past couple weeks, but Vikings are 2.5 point favorites. Over under is 42.5.
I mean, um, I have to take the Vikings.
Yeah, I think
It
so
just,
too.
it just, the Patriots offense is such garbage that it's just like, can Justin Jefferson or Dalvin Cook get? Like, can they get to 20 points? Like, can you get to 18 points? You probably win, and I'm betting on Vikings offense over Patriots offense.
All right, so our Thanksgiving Day parlay, if we were to take one of each game, is all the favorites. That is what that is what we just picked. Patriots or Vikings minus 2.5, Bills minus 9.5, Cowboys minus 9.5. I don't like that. I don't think that hits, but
I don't either, but fingers crossed.
all right. Uh Stuart, do you have anything else?
No, that is all I had for today.
Cool. That's all I got too. Like I said, we'll be back on. I don't know. We'll figure out a. Jeez, someone's calling me. We'll figure out a Thursday or Friday time to do it. Not sure, but be on the lookout, and we'll give our picks full for the weekend. And yeah, looking forward to it.
All right, brother. Take it easy.
Yes, sir. Stuart, thanks as always.
Yep. Have a good
Peace.
one.
Soup.